As we continue through the 50 days of Eastertide, we hear the compelling story known widely as the Emmaus Road narrative, in which two of Jesus' disciples are on their way to Emmaus, a village about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They, of course, are talking among themselves about all that had occurred recently, including the crucifixion and disappearance of their Lord. As they walk, Jesus joins them and begins asking questions about these matters. However, they do not immediately recognize him. As they get closer to Emmaus, the disciples invite Jesus, whom they do not recognize, to stay with them in the house where they are. While at table with them, he takes the bread, blesses it, breaks it, and gives it to them. Suddenly, they recognize him, and then he vanishes from their sight. Later in Jerusalem, when they have met up with their other disciples, they tell of their experience and began saying to each other, "The Lord is risen indeed." The hymn which follows now captures the joy and the excitement of the disciples as they realize that their Lord has triumphed over death. The first hymn for this Sunday, third Sunday of Easter, has a wonderful text by Cecil Frances Alexander, a 19th century Anglo-Irish hymn writer and poet. She is perhaps best known for the hymns that she wrote for children. Indeed, one of her most popular collections was entitled Hymns for Little Children. In our present hymnal, there are 8 hymns for which Ms. Alexander is either the author or the translator. 2 of these are ones that we at Christ Church know and love to sing, namely, Once in Royal David City and All Things Bright and Beautiful. Prior to her marriage, Ms. Alexander and her sister ran a school for the deaf, and she designated the profits from her hymn publications should be contributed to this school. The text for this hymn appeared in her publication Hymns for Holy Seasons, which she intended as an explanation and introduction to the Christian year for children. The tune with which these words are sung once again comes to us from the musical inheritance of our German Protestant brothers and sisters. This tune was composed by Joachim Neander, a 17th century citizen of Bremen, Germany. He was aligned with the Reformed tradition as advanced by John Calvin, the noted French theologian. Neander was a well-known theologian in his own right, and also as a composer of hymn tunes, particularly for one of the most famous ones in history, Praise to the Lord the Almighty. The name for this particular tune comes directly from the German and is known as Unser Herrscher in our hymnal, although in other hymnals it's sometimes known simply by Neander, obviously a reference to the family name of the composer. This music has been included in every hymnal of the Episcopal Church since its first appearance in the hymnal of 1871. It is a stirring tune, somewhat martial in its character, and offers a strong portrayal of this resurrection text. Please join in singing stanzas 1 and 4 of hymn 180, He is Risen. Certainly one of the most well-known and highly respected hymn writers of the 18th century, Charles Wesley, wrote the text for nearly 6,500 hymns, including such widely sung ones as Christ the Lord is risen today, Love divine, all loves excelling, Oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing, and lo, he comes with clouds descending, to name just a few. Indeed, the hymnal 1982 contains 24 of Charles Wesley's hymns. He is strongly associated, as we know, with his tireless work in behalf of the Methodist movement within the Church of England. He, of course, had been ordained in the Church of England. In fact, this younger brother of John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist Church, had serious theological disagreements with his older brother, particularly as they pertain to a full breach with the Church of England. Charles was the 18th child of Susanna and Samuel Wesley and was formally educated at the Westminster School and at Christ Church, Oxford. Charles and Sarah's son, Charles Wesley Jr., was an organist and composer who lived from the mid-18th century through the first third of the 19th. Although less well known than his brother Samuel, Charles Jr., like his brother, was a musical prodigy and is said to have played the organ before he was even 3 years old. He became a professional musician and his organ playing was widely acclaimed. I'm happy now to share a lovely piece that he wrote for a keyboard instrument, either the organ or the harpsichord. This music is rather simple and straightforward in its concept and proves to be a delight for the ear. It's simply entitled A Pastoral, this by the son of Charles Wesley, namely Charles Wesley Jr. preaching series on fruits of the Spirit continues this morning with a sermon on patience. And so the text of the second hymn today reflects on this gift of patience. Based on Psalm 130, these words first appeared in a late 17th century collection entitled A New Version of the Psalms of David. And then subsequently, in the 1874 edition of the Hymnal for the Episcopal Church, it appears again. The tune, known as Franconia, is more commonly known to us with the words, "Blessed are the pure in heart." It is the creation of an 18th century German Baroque composer, Johann König. This tune, Franconia, is one of nearly 2,000 hymn melodies that were included in a hymnal that König published in 1738. Early on in his life, he became a member of the municipal chapel in his home city, where he was mentored by none other than the famous composer Georg Philipp Telemann, the director of chapel music there. Later, Johann König became the director of music at the principal Protestant church in Frankfurt and served as the city's primary musician as well. This rather quiet and introspective hymn is not included in the hymnal 1982, our current hymnal, but it was a part of the previous hymnal, the hymnal 1940. I invite you to sing all three stanzas of My Soul with Patience Waits. First stanza. Finally this morning, as we did last Sunday and will continue to do during Eastertide, we'll conclude today's musical offering with the simple song which we sometimes sing at Christ Church at the conclusion of communion. This lovely communal blessing, "Peace I leave with you," comes to us from the monks of the Weston Priory in Vermont and offers us the music and words from a former Benedictine monk and retreat leader, Gregory Norbert. Let's now sing "Peace I Leave with You."